Salutations, Legion of Doom. The Storm, we're Social Young Outcast. Debate all things pop. My co-host is aka the Dalton L. Mortimer.
Hello, everyone. I think Brainstormer's internet is somewhat glitchy today.
Set my mic back to the headphones. So, am I coming clear? Am I coming out clear now?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. Yeah. Got to the intro to set it back.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It started to
also
glitch. It started to glitch again. I don't know.
I can't control that. I'm gonna be.
It must just be the connection, I guess. Either that or there's something wrong with my phone, which is possible. I could try rebooting it.
It's fine. I'm fairly certain. My icon isn't showing?
No.
Okay, hold on. Let me.
Okay. And as usual, things start with a batch of technical difficulties. Still no icon.
God damn it. Hold on. You know what? I'm going to try something real quick. Okay, let's try a different one then.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled podcast of the Storm for technical difficulties. There we go. There's a red Batman.
Okay, and then let me swap back to my original one. See if that works.
There we go.
Okay.
That worked. Okay.
All right. Yeah, sorry. Technical difficulties. It wouldn't be one of our podcasts if it wasn't a thing.
Unfortunately, no, it would not be. But
okay.
Now things are back.
All right. All right. Well, hello, Dragon Turtle. Good to see you. Doing fairly well, all things considered.
Have you tried turning reality off and then back on again? Sometimes I wish. Sometimes I wish someone would.
So, kind of a mix of things. I will be fully honest. The first two articles are actually my thing.
Mm-hmm.
One of the trailers Don wanted to cover for the sake of his friend.
Yeah, my friend Nick is a massive Fallout fanboy, and they're going to. He and I just talked about it. I want to say on Friday or Saturday or so, and he is bracing himself for them to massacre his boy. I feel like we have to cover it.
Yeah, and this was something I brought up, and the last trailer is something I brought up last week. I think was it last week I brought it up?
I think so.
Okay, well I will get to it, but yeah. So weirdly enough, I'm kind of getting more back into the swing of pulling out more things to talk about because actually kind of been a big week for things that kind of fall within my niche of things to talk about.
Yeah. Next week, though, next week is almost entirely consumed by the Sweet Baby fiasco
We'll
because.
we'll talk about it then, because I need to read up on things, or at least get those things readied at some point.
Mhm.
So this was originally from, obviously, we're just using the archive version because for some reason I can never get to the actual website because it always says the servers are offline or something.
Mhm.
So yeah, this is originally from Deadline.com. The Crow first look photos of Bill Skarsgård and FKA Twigs in Lionsgate remake by Armando Tinoco. Again, if I say names wrong, I'm sorry. I'm terrible with names, just all the
He's
time.
not. He's not good at names.
I'm really not.
He could
This was
probably
published.
find a way to fuck up John Smith somehow. That's how bad he is at names.
This was originally published February 28th, 2024. Mainly because I wanted to cover this, mainly because one, I did not know that this was actually moving forward. I heard about it. Obviously a Crow remake has been in the works. Though, granted, I mean there have been hundreds or a few different iterations of the Crow, not even just of the movies, but also just the comics too. So I feel like,
It's
and don't get me wrong, Eric
yeah.
Raven, having read the actual book not too long ago. Thank you, by the way, Dawn, for that gift. I know it's taken
Mhm.
me like 2 years since you sent me that book to finish it.
It happens. It happens.
Um,
Although,
but
wasn't that a big ass omnibus type thing too? So there was like 300 some odd pages to it.
I actually went through it pretty quickly when I really wanted to sit down and read it.
Mm.
Like I think it took me maybe 2 times to finish it, 2 or 3.
Mhm.
To be fair, I didn't really have anything going on at the time, so
Mhm. And he
um,
still hasn't gotten around to the Superman and Philosophy book. I got him.
I got a busy life, man. You know
I
this.
know. I know. I'm just doing that thing where I bust your balls about it.
All right, but uh, fuck, I remember hearing one that there was Jason Momoa, and while I think he would be good at portraying a version, I don't think Eric Draven. Again, Eric Draven is this weird thing where like it's a specific type of character you have to cast. Um, Plus, again, there's this what was it? Fuck it. God damn it. Um, the Again, it's just like it's a story. But yeah, the connection with Brandon Lee, who played him in the 1993 93.
I believe so.
Yeah, 93, the Crow movie, which was phenomenal. I think it's just one of the all-time greatest comic book movies ever made. One of. Let me specify one of.
Mm.
Um, Notice how I said comic book and not superhero, because the Crow is definitely not a superhero.
In the vein of an anti-hero is probably
Yes.
more where you'd stick the Crow. But
Mhm.
I mean it's still superhero genre technically.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
it's just playing fast and loose with the morality
Yeah.
parameters.
To be fair, all the people who the Crow killed definitely deserved it. So.
I mean when you're the Native American avatar of death, all things considered, shit happens.
But what I was gonna say was obviously there's a lot of baggage whenever you're trying to adapt or remake The Crow, given its history. Um, though I do think Bill Skarsgård would be good taking on that role because I feel like he somewhat does have a similar body type and facial structure.
he can do creepy in a mesmerizing way, which I think is a key feature of the character.
Yeah, and he's actually like a phenomenal actor. Like, I know a lot of people. Obviously, he got his big break in It as
It
Pennywise, but I've seen him in like other stuff, and he's he's played in other things, and he's just great. He's got like a real range as an actor.
The Skarsgård family seems to be quite the acting dynasty just overall, because you've got Stellan Skarsgård playing Selvig in
Um,
the
but
MCU, and then you've got
he's also played. I mean, he's been in a lot of things. To be fair, for
and
for decades.
and then you've got Alexander Skarsgård. I first saw him in Tarzan. He also played Flag in 2020's adaptation of The Stand. God, that was miscasting. He should have been Larry Underwood, but whatever.
But I'm gonna be honest, man. To be fair, I think at times he never gets. I've seen him in other things, and it makes me know that he's a good actor. It's just often the material he's given.
It seems like nobody got off in the 2020 adaptation of The Stand well, because every motherfucker in that adaptation was casted wrong, and they focused on all the wrong shit. The 90s TV the 90s miniseries is still the better adaptation of The Stand, which isn't to say that you couldn't have done a more modernized version of The Stand and have it be good. They just didn't. Even though when they were making it, it was 2020 when there was an actual worldwide pandemic going on, and a chance like that will never come again, and they still managed to fuck it up. But I digress.
The thing I would say,
but yeah,
to really
Bill seems to be better at picking roles than Alex is, though. To be fair, Alex should get himself a new agent.
If you check out the show True Blood, that's where I think you can see the real work he does.
Where
he played a ancient vampire Viking. So
yeah, which is probably how he got the role of Flag. But I reiterate, he should have played Larry Underwood instead. They should have casted somebody else's Flag. Hell, they could have and should have brought back Matthew McConaughey, because for all the bullshit that was the Dark Tower movie, having Matthew McConaughey play Flag in that movie, or Walter, for all intents and purposes, even though it's Flag, having Matthew McConaughey play Flag was a good choice of actor to role, but they didn't. They also shouldn't have casted Whoopi Goldberg as Mother Abigail, but entire books could be written about all the problems with the 2020 adaptation of The Stand.
Right. Yes, Dragon Troll Flag, Randall Flag is a Stephen King thing.
Yes. Well, I can't say the Wandering Gentleman, Trickster, Immortal of Stephen King's mythos, because there's like 5 of those. But yeah, Flag is the probably most reoccurring of all of Stephen King's Gentleman at the Crossroads type characters. And according to Stephen King, it's his favorite villain that he's ever written.
Right. Anyway, moving on to the actual article, because we've spent 15 minutes rambling. Yeah, so this shows the pictures of on set photos or stills from the movie itself.
Mm-hmm. No, Dragon Turtle. What got us off on the Stand related tangent is because both Bill Skarsgård, who is currently playing the new version of the Crow, and his brother Alex have been casted before in Stephen King roles. In the case of Bill, he played Pennywise in the 2017 iteration of It, if I'm not misremembering. And Alexander Skarsgård, unfortunately, played Flag in the 2020 adaptation of The Stand, and he was miscast. Horribly miscast.
Yeah. Right. All right. The first look photos of Bill Skarsgård and FKA Twigs in the remake of The Crow have been revealed, giving a glimpse into the new take on James O'Barr's original graphic novel. See photos below. Directed by Rupert Sanders, the film, set for a release of June 7th, and yet this year. It's supposed to be this year because I've heard this is the first time I'm hearing of anything in terms of promotion.
Yeah, the only thing I've seen are the set photos. I haven't seen hide nor hair of a trailer or even a cast list. So marketing,
Okay.
how the fuck does it work? Apparently,
Hmm. All right. Soulmates Eric Draven and Shelley Webster, played by Skarsgård and respectively, are brutally murdered when the demons of her dark past catch up with them. Reads the official synopsis.
I mean,
Okay, that's different. I mean, the brutally murdered part is the same, but demons of her dark past.
yeah, I'm not sure where they're going with that, but I mean,
I
it
mean, it would
doesn't.
be it doesn't sound too different. It's a weird thing, though. Granted, I will fully admit, even in the book and in the movie, Shelley wasn't technically much of a character.
This is true.
So I can understand giving that little more backstory, and that's fine.
Playing up the love
Well, okay,
story aspect is interesting as well.
the love story was always the center of it, though.
Well, okay, yeah.
All right. Okay. Reads the official synopsis. Given the chance to save his true love by sacrificing himself, Eric sets out to seek merciless revenge on their killers, of the living and the dead, to put wrong things right.
Hmm.
Okay. I mean, again, that doesn't sound too far off.
Who is the director of this, and what have they done before?
Rupert up. I don't. It's a bit weird. He's done a few things that I'm okay. Two movies prior, I think everyone's seen. Snow White and the Huntsman from and the one that Chris Hemsworth in it.
Yeah, and Kristen Stewart and Charlize Theron is the queen.
Yeah, and 27 Ghost and with Scarlett Johansson as Major.
Ah, that's actually not a bad resume for somebody redoing The Crow.
Right.
It certainly has the necessary style points, if nothing else.
Sorry. I mean, I have heard those things were not like well received by people. I've seen Ghost. I saw Ghost in the Shell when it came out, like in theaters, and it was fine. I understand, and I've looked into like the comparison between the movie and stuff, and I can understand certain problems with it, but it was fine for what it was.
Most of what I heard bad about Ghost in the Shell was that a bunch of people were pissed off because the ahem whitewashing of Major, but people from actual Japan didn't care because they're not a bunch of whoa. So
Yeah.
there's that.
Anyway, uh, continue or anything else?
I just think that having seen both versions of both iterations of Snow White and the Huntsman and the Ghost in the Shell live action remake, this guy certainly seems to have the style points to do
Yeah.
The Crow.
Yeah. Okay. The cast of The Crow also includes Danny Hudson, Isabella Way, Lauren Brand, Sammy Bulja, and Jordan Bolger. I'm sure I've said a lot of those names wrong, and I'm so sorry.
He's really not very good at names. It's nothing personal.
Again, if I hear it, obviously I can say it right. It's just reading it because there's always like this weird thing of like how it could be spelled is said differently.
Hmm.
Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. Anyway, moving forward.
Zach Balin and William Schneider wrote the screenplay. I'm going to look those guys up.
So far, this sounds promising because the director has the style necessary to carry through the style of the comic, and Bill Skarsgård can play like creepy supernatural presence that is somehow also charming in his sleep. So like
Okay, that's
the writing is
interesting.
the only way this could fuck up at this point, as far as I can tell.
Okay, so Zach Balin, he worked on King Richard, Creed 3, uh, Gran Turismo, and Bob Marley, One
Oh,
Love.
that was okay. What
And
was the last one?
Bob Marley, One Love. You know the new movie coming out this year.
Ah, the one that came out 2 weeks ago.
I, biopics aren't my thing, so
Yeah. Okay, he's not a bad choice. Those are all decent to good movies.
okay. I'm looking up the other guy. Uh, okay. William Schneider has not really done much in terms of. Yeah, he hasn't really done much.
Hmm. So he is the only unknown quantity we're dealing with. Hmm.
Apparently,
Apparently, what?
he wrote something called.
Is, is Brainstormer glitching for anyone else, or is that just on my end?
Shaking at people. Okay, it's can't help it.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, okay, so it's not just me. He is lagging for everybody then. Good. I'm not going insane, hooray. And I assume he is now going to try and fix it, for there is lag. And thus, and now we wait to come back again. I think there are possibly other explanations, Dragon Turtle, but I appreciate your enthusiasm. But I am pretty sure that is not the most likely of the scenarios. I'm sure he's just trying to reboot his computer and or his modem. And he will probably be back momentarily. Oh, excuse me. Yawns are annoying. Dragon Turtle, I'm barely certain you are not understanding what the words most likely mean. I am almost certain he was not abducted by aliens.
All right, I'm back.
Okay, we have regained a brainstormer. Huzzah. Rebooting your
Alright.
computer or just your modem?
No, I just exited out of my I closed it, like my internet browser, and just opened it again.
Ah, okay. Well,
I don't know
we'll
about
see
that, Dragon
how.
Turtle.
Dragon Turtle has been having a lot of fun making a mockery of the words most likely in the comments.
All right. Where did I cut off? Because I think I was in the middle of talking when I was cut off.
The second writer dude.
Oh, William Schneider.
Yes.
Yeah, there wasn't really much. Apparently, he hasn't really done much, or anything of note that we would recognize. So,
Hmm.
yeah, and okay. So the producers are Victor Hadida. Again, I'm gonna fuck these names up. Molly Hassel, John Jinex, and late Samuel Hadida and Ed Pressman.
Hmm.
Pressman Film CEO Sam Pressman talked about the reboot in an interview last year, teasing that the film would blow audiences away. Given how like the cult classic that is the original Crow, you kind of would have to.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those tough acts to follow situations. Although again, minus the dude who is an unknown quantity, I think the raw materials are there. Like unless the unknown quantity dude is a massive fuck up, which is possible. I don't I don't see how this could be a catastrophic failure, which
Um,
is something.
yeah, it's fair. Uh, though I remember some people getting up in arms because of the images that we're going to see. That kind of got a lot of people up in arms for some reason. I can understand some things, but we'll get into it when we get to the actual photos.
Behind the scenes images almost never
No, no,
look
no,
good because they're
no.
not
These
in
aren't. These aren't. These
completed
aren't. Don't.
lighting or anything. Sorry.
They're not behind the scenes. They are stills from the
Hmm.
actual movie.
Hmm.
I, I'm fairly certain of that.
I thought they were behind the scenes images.
No.
Hmm.
The Crow is an essential and integral part of our company, and I'm really proud of the progress that the work has been done. Pressman said in an. I think the movie is just going to blow people away in a very 360 way. Whether it be video games and anime, it's got this cause that can expand. That's fair.
Hmm.
Uh,
You're glitching again, Brainstormer.
can you see the?
I can see one of the images with them by the fire, but that's about it.
I'm asking because I was just making sure that you can see it. Obviously, because we've had that problem where you can't see something.
No, the screen's not lagging. It's for some reason your mic input that's lagging.
I don't know what to do with that. I really don't.
Honestly, you'd probably have to either reboot your modem or reboot your computer.
That both would take too long. So, I guess we're gonna have to deal with it for tonight.
Mm.
So yeah, this is the first photo, and again, didn't look too bad. Though I can say about it, it's actually a really cool image.
Mm.
Uh, same everyone up in arms about it.
What has everyone pissed off about it?
I remember someone saying that it looked like Jared Leto's Joker.
I mean, yeah, it does a bit. I can see that.
But with just as the photo we got and the reveal of Leto's Joker.
I think what's messing people up is that they're used to the Crow having longer hair. So
I was thinking it was the various tattoos over his body. That could. I don't think I've
I
ever
mean,
him. Bill Skarsgård with long hair.
Bill, I think I have a couple of times. Alex more so. He tends to favor longer hair, but he
Yeah.
probably should have grown out his hair, or they should have offered him a wig for the role of the Crow. Because
Yeah, that is kind of a specific look. It's like he had kind of. Yeah, definitely could be body horror Dragon Turtle in some way.
well, I mean, he's supposed to be a corpse that's been reanimated by a Native American crow spirit, so being like emaciated and corpse-esque isn't a huge issue.
The tattoos, Dalton. Again, it's just I do think they're oddly placed, if anything. Again, it doesn't look bad. I just think it's a bit much. If that makes sense.
Yeah, there's some try hard vibes going on here. Like somebody is trying really, really hard to be edgy, which, given how edgy the source material is anyway, is unnecessary.
Yeah, that's yeah. Um,
He does
you know,
look like somebody's prison bitch, and that is a little bit annoying.
I mean, the Crow's always been kind of lanky and scrawny, and again with the whole emaciated corpse thing.
this is also true, but I get why people were comparing this to Ledger's
Leto.
Joker a little bit. It does have a gangland vibe to it that is a little
Le-
weird.
Leto. You said Ledger.
Oh, yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
Leto's Joker.
Um.
Not to be confused with Leather's Joker, because Leather's Joker is amazing. But yeah,
Uh,
the whole I get where people are making the comparison because it does have kind of gangland vibes.
yeah. Yeah. That's fair. Um. Although it is a really amazing channel, I actually would like to see this in motion, just because it looks actually really good, like the lighting and stuff.
Yeah, it definitely has the potential to be good.
Mm. And I think there's one more, which is like a flashback of them getting married.
Mm.
And
The
again, it looks
lighting of
good.
these
And
shots is actually really good. Hopefully, they're as good in motion as they are in stills.
I do think it's weird that he has like face tattoos, though they could be doing something different with Eric's backstory because, in the original comic, he was a poet or a writer, I believe. I
Hmm.
think he was a poet. And then in the 90s, in the Brandon Lee movie, they made him a rock star. So
Hmm.
they could be doing
So
something
yeah,
here.
they they might be retooling things to modernize it, which could work. It could also go horribly wrong, but it could work.
Yeah, I. That's also the reason why. Yeah, some people also complain this was going woke. I don't technically see it yet, just because I haven't really heard anything about it, like
Yeah,
at all.
the most you could say is maybe they're trying to modernize it, which again could work hypothetically in isolation,
Well, there's also a thing of like the Crow is kind of timeless, so it if really doesn't like the whole story and stuff
which
can fit.
leads to the inevitable question of given that there are dozens of different incarnations of the Crow, sure Eric is the most famous one. Why didn't they go with why didn't they go with any of the other iterations of the character? They could have
Yeah.
created,
Well, also,
or they could have created a whole new character and then done something with it.
yeah. There's also like, because again, I will always thank Dawn for sending me the Crow omnibus.
Hmm.
It was an omnibus, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, one of
Um.
them. There are like three different omnibuses, but yeah, I sent you one of them for
Fair.
Christmas a couple years ago.
Yeah. Um. When I was reading the book, it kind of made me wish that there is like a full adaptation of it, just because like it has a lot more interesting concepts and stuff. Or even at the
Hmm.
very least, The Crow could be adapted into a series, which I think there was one adapted in the '90s called Stairway to Heaven. Um,
Honestly, you really could do an anthology series where every episode features a different incarnation of the Crow in a different time period or a different culture or something.
yeah, yeah. Um, Mainly, I just would like to see a live. I mean, they had scenes filmed for the 1993 movie of the Skull Cowboy. But they cut it out
Hmm.
because it was just more or less repeating exposition and stuff.
Hmm.
They're not nihilistic, Giant Turtle.
I would call them punk is what I would call them. They very much borrow from like the punk aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like
It's
they're very goth, very punk, very of that era's counterculture, but they're edgy, but they're edgy in a way that has a point more so than they are just
and
grimdark for the sake of grimdark.
I haven't really interacted with anyone who of that is of the fan base. I've met people who are fans of the Crow, but or wa- know people that are fans of the Crow, but never really like super in depth about it. Um, so I can't really say grimdark or nihilistic on that part. Um, to be fair, to understand the story of the Crow is, well, for one thing, James O'Barr, the creator, writer, artist, I believe he was the artist of the books too.
Mhm.
He more or less, the comics were kind of a form of therapy for him because his was fiance or girlfriend at the time. I don't
I
remember
can't
which, but
remember either.
a significant other of his died tragically in, I believe it was a car crash. Again, don't quote me on that. I remember that his a significant other of his had passed tragically, um, and he kind of created the concept of the Crow as a form of to get um comic is not, it's dark. It is violent. I will, um, but I mean, a quest for vengeance, shit like that.
That's why I say it's more punk or goth than it is grimdark.
Yeah, yeah. Though I will make the, obviously because
Mm.
um, but yeah, like, it looks fine. I admit are some like obviously the body stuff are a bit, I can accept because again I because Bill Skarsgård, I think he pull off the damaged soul that is Eric Drake. But again, like it's battle because just the movie and passing because of stuff, whole thing. Uh, no, I am hopeful for. What about you, Don?
I am also hopeful, like I say, the raw materials seem like they're there. I definitely think a good version of the Crow could be made from these ingredients. Again, also
Uh,
adding the proviso of one of the creatives an unknown quantity, so maybe there's something wrong there, but for the most part, I think all of the raw ingredients could work. I question maybe some of the creative choices that I've seen so far, especially with the whole, gangland tattoos thing. But who
uh,
knows? Maybe, maybe it'll work.
it'll probably
I
be
do.
obviously like be
Go ahead.
probably be explain the movie, obviously, or the
Hmm.
uh, but yeah, just I don't really know
Yep.
things
Next.
I don't agree with, but I'm willing to let if it's done well. So next one. So this is originally from
By the way, I don't know
.com.
if you know, but your icon went again.
Okay. See that one?
Yes.
I'm just gonna keep that because I don't know. If something happens again, I'll switch it back.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, this is originally from Variety.com. Rooster Teeth is shutting down after 21 years, written by Todd Spangler. Warner Brothers Discovery in talks to sell shows like Ruby, Red vs. Blue, and Genlock, and will shop the Roost podcast network. So yeah, this most I will fully admit this was just kind of a thing for me because I'm a big Rooster Teeth fan. I know Dalton isn't really connected to any of this.
Mm-hmm.
I know Dragon Turtle might have some things to say about it, or you know, I don't know if you had heard about it because it came out like Wednesday. It was said. Then they did a stream, like Rooster Teeth did a stream on Thursday. I didn't watch it, unfortunately, just because I had things going on at that time. I've just been kind of busy with a lot of other things, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Giant Turtle Genlock was their attempt at making a mecha anime. Yeah, I figured, Jonah. It kind of fell off. I mean, it had. Okay, so I'm gonna read this, and then we can start discussing about stuff of Rooster Teeth. Just because I do want to get through this article, so we're not spending like. To be yeah. Um, want to buy the full rights to Ruby and Genlock and try to fix it and continue it and reboot GL. Yeah. 10K, give me 10K and we'll get this with sweat and blood. All right. So Rooster Teeth is biting the dust after more than 2 decades. I will address that comment in a moment, Jonah Arts, because I do have things to say about Genlock. I know you're just here for the ride, Dalton, and I'm sorry. I am sorry. This is not something you can talk about.
Do your thing. It's fine.
Yeah. Parent company Warner Brothers Discovery, after unsuccessful attempts to sell the unprofitable fandom, gaming, and comedy entertainment division, is shutting down Rooster Teeth's operations. RT General Manager Jordan Levin announced the shutdown of Austin-based Rooster Teeth at an all-hands meeting Wednesday in a memo distributed to staff. The closure of Rooster Teeth will result in layoffs of its approximately 150 full-time employees and will throw dozens of contractors and content creators out of work as well. That does suck. Though, granted, from certain stories I have heard briefly of behind the scenes stuff that went on.
It's a clusterfuck.
Yeah. Okay, Dragon Troll. It's with a heavy heart that I announce that Rooster Teeth is shutting down due to challenges facing digital media resulting from fundamental shifts in consumer behavior and monetization across platforms, advertising, and patronage, Levin wrote in the memo obtained by Variety. Our legacy is not just a collection of content, but a history of pixels burned into our screens, minds, and hearts. I mean, to be fair, this isn't technically a shock. I think fans of Rooster Teeth can agree within like the last, I don't want to say decade, but within the last like 6, 7 so years, Rooster Teeth has kind of started to fall back. Yeah, it started to kind of fall in terms of quality and entertainment. Where the fuck was I going with this? Yeah, and I've talked about this at a few times, obviously because certain I'm not naming names, I'm not playing blame or anything. It's just like Rooster Teeth kind of went through that thing of like what a lot of big companies did or have done. Yeah, Dragon Turtle. I'm not going to jump to conclusions and assume that what this guy does feel, but I don't think the leadership care that much besides the business, financial / job loss, and would have traded up. Yeah. Um, and I I also agree with you. I also agree with Jonah saying it started to fall off after Monty Oom's passing. Um, yeah, it kind of did start to lose. Uh, I don't want to say heart, but kind of that more creative, fun enjoyment.
Seems like the kind of man of action after Dwayne McDuffie passed kind of thing.
Yeah, that actually might be that actually might be close in terms of a
I mean, I'm just on the outside looking in but from what the three of you are describing here, it seems like a similar thing happened after Monty Owen passed on, as did Two Man of Action with regards to the passing of Dwayne McDuffie. The one thing for which I blame the shittiness of the Omniverse and also the Ben 10 reboot. Man of Action, while Dwayne McDuffie was still alive and kicking, was top-notch television. Man of Action after Dwayne McDuffie is best left forgotten for the sake of my sanity.
Yeah, that's actually that is a fair comparison actually. Though I also think as it grew, it's as as Rooster Teeth grew because it did get big. I'm not gonna. I think we can all agree on it. Started getting big within like after Ruby was starting to create. Um, uh, yeah, work conditions are not the best when it came to the company. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Um, but
Like so many things which are things in this day and age.
again, yeah. To be fair, yeah, Jonah and Dragon Turtle are saying basically what I would like to say, but cannot find the proper words for. And thank you for that, guys. I appreciate that because I don't know why my brain is kind of short circuiting right now. Um,
This is why he keeps me around, folks, because when his brain stalls out, my ranting fills the dead air. That's basically why I'm kept around at this point.
yeah. Well, that and I also enjoy your company. So,
Well, aren't you the magnanimous one? Anyway, moving on.
um, yeah. Uh, okay, so I'm gonna read a little bit more because again, I do have some. I do have things to say. I just need to find a way to say them. Warner Brothers Discovery is currently in talks to sell the rights to certain Rooster Teeth catalog catalog content and intellectual property, such as the popular anime-style series RWBY, pioneering sci-fi spoof Red vs. Blue, and Michael B. Jordan's animated mecha series Genlock. Yeah, Michael B. Jordan was voicing the main character of that show.
Small world.
Yeah.
Although, let's be honest, Michael B. Jordan could probably buy all of Rooster Teeth with his pocket change at this point, if he
Okay.
wanted to.
Okay. So Jonah Arts pulls this up. Thank you because I'm okay. To be fair, this is their guess. I think you had like a minimum of 75 hours a week in it. Need to at times pull all nighters and sleep at the building for that. Everything was always last minute for the teams. To be fair, that was the work ethic of Monty though that was of his own free will. Um, he would work late hours to work on his fight animations and stuff at Rooster Teeth, specifically Ruby. Obviously, like he was a workhorse. Um, but again, that was of his own free will, and he was the creator of it. So he was kind of, I don't want to say perfectionist, but at the very least, he was a hard worker and put a lot of passion and stuff
Mhm.
into it.
Again, from the outside looking in, I'm noticing a lot of parallels between what happened to Man of Action with and without Wayne McDuffie at the helm.
Also, yeah, Jonah Art's Death Battle will always be here as it was there before Rooster Teeth bought it out. Right. Um. Oh, some of the wait. Oh no, some of the actual staff had said they needed to do that even when they weren't supposed to do that. Huh. So I'm just hearing like mismanagement of time and stuff for the workers. Not like the workers were
Yeah,
mismanaging themselves,
it's
but I mean like the higher ups were mismanaging the workers, so they would have to work overtime.
a lot of that going around, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's so
It's
weird.
one of the reasons why every IP that we love is constantly in the shit.
Also the fact, and a lot of okay, mismanagement implies it was an accident. Yeah, that's okay. That's fair. That's completely fair, Giant Turtle. Um, but also a lot of people like the personalities of Rooster Teeth kind of started to alienate the fans when they were not giving quality to the projects that they were working on.
Oh
Um,
joy, add that to yet another box of your uh IP collapse bingo card.
okay, yeah, some of it was not all. I mean, we only have to pay them for 8 hours, but if we give them too much work, they'll work 11 hours to finish it. Yeah, yeah, okay. But there's also God damn it. Yeah, because Rooster Teeth was at this originally. It was at this very like specific niche. It was kind of like Team Four Star in a sense that it had a strong sense of community. Like they even started their own convention called RTX, where fans could go and stuff. Hang out and see things. It was like their own personal Comic Con.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, that's also true. I was gonna bring that up later, Dragon Turtle, but thank you for bringing that up. Um, uh, fuck, I had it. Well, also the fact that, yeah, they just, I don't know why they just lacked like. I almost want to say they didn't
Quality
have like,
control.
yeah, quality control. Thank you. Um,
Add again, check that off of the collapsing IP bingo card.
right.
We're,
Yeah.
we're
Don't forget
four
some.
in, one more, and we get a bingo.
Right. Don't forget some of the fan base for their shows like Death Battle and Ruby being toxic as hell to anyone with criticism of losing interest.
Yep. Check it off the bingo card.
Oh, Jonah Art's also another person who was in a server call with for watch parties said they would buy an IP and burn it to the ground as they want to see it all burn. Doesn't matter the IP either, which is just shitty of them to try and do. Or try to do. Sorry.
Wait, who said that? In what context now?
Uh, might need a little more context for that, Jonah Arts. Um, but yeah, I will say, yeah. Ruby. Because here's the thing, when it came out in 2013, I was in middle school. I remember when it was coming out. I was kind of not to I don't want to be that kind of one of those guys, but I was there before it was cool, kind of deal.
That was the year I graduated high school.
God, you're old.
Yes, I am. I know. Shut up.
Uh, uh, they are mostly the community, but the creatures do that as well from time to time. They get annoyed by people. Okay. Oh, that's return. Okay. Yeah, kind of same. I tried to watch season 5 of Ruby Giant Turtle. But it was so boring. Like it dragged on so long, and it's just like 14 or so episodes, I think.
For full context, almost every week when me and Brainstormer get together to do our brainstorming session, because we do that every Thursday, at some point the topic of how Ruby failed to do any basic bitch writing comes up, and then I have to commiserate with Brainstormer because and we've basically made this a meme between the two of us. It seems like Ruby is the anime equivalent of Once Upon a Time, which is
Oh,
another show with amazing amounts of potential that got constantly shat on by the incompetence of its own writers.
right. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So, Jonah, it was in the context of me saying I want to buy Ruby and Genlock to both continue and to reboot it all from the beginning, as there is a way to save it all. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I totally agree. I totally agree with that, and I was going to go into that later. Uh. Okay, so I'm going to read a little bit more just because I don't, I can't remember how long this article is, but I do want to get through a little more before we continue talking. Warner
Mhm.
Brothers Discovery is currently in talks to sell the rights to certain Rooster Teeth. Oh no, wait, I already read that. In addition, WBD is seeking to sell the Roost Podcast Network with shows spanning gaming, true crime, fandom, comedy, and food, which for the time being will continue to operate. Warner Brothers Discovery thanks Rooster Teeth's groundbreaking creators and partners and the strong management team for their many years of success. The media company said in a statement, "Your passionate and loyal fans are a testament to your achievements." Okay, to be, I don't want to be an asshole about this, but
It's been running on empty for a while now.
yeah,
See, that is another of the roles that I fulfill in this podcast. When Brainstormer doesn't want to be an asshole, I can usually jump the gun and be the asshole for him, so he doesn't have to.
yeah. Um, do you need to reboot the first 3 Ruby seasons? Actually, if you want to talk about a sort of reboot of Ruby, there is a YouTuber called Celtic Phoenix who is doing a full fixing. Well, it's not like a full rewrite. It's just making a better. It's called Fixing Ruby. It's just basically making a lot of good, using what is there, like the potential of Ruby, and just spreading out. It's kind of become its own thing at this point, and they're up to season or volume, as they like to call them, volume 6.
And
Really good.
because Brainstormer will not show for himself, I'm going to do it for him. He also is working on his own alternate universe version of Ruby that is
I wouldn't
called
say
Ruby Once Upon, and it's better.
I wouldn't say it's an alternate universe. I would just say I'm literally just writing a series world Bible. Like I'm just expanding on the world of Ruby and just giving it more meat, I guess is the best way I could say it. And I wasn't gonna bring it up because, well, I was gonna technically bring it up, but uh, I don't want to talk about it much because I'm not done with it. I have a long way to go before it's finished, and I do plan like a Google document or long, and I'm not gonna, like, even now. So, um, I not I agree. Yeah, I do agree with Joan Arts. You don't really need to reboot Ruby too much. Weird thing with like the show and uh yeah, okay. You have changed this. Do not make any means. Days of Ruby, the show, which was fine because it had an hard work. I I I'm used to watching stuff that's on a low budget that um we'll say John agree the backstory of hers already. Am I glitching again?
Yes.
Am I coming through okay now?
Yes.
Okay. Um. Okay. Sorry. I was saying that I don't technically. I get where you're coming from with by not making Salem immortal. Though I was fine with it. I just wrote it. I just rewrote the backstory of it to make it a little more make sense. Though it's a whole thing. I don't want to get into it because again, we will be here for hours if I want to talk about my stuff or just the whole thing entirely because I feel like we are going to be here for another
Let
hour
let
talking
him
about that.
let him let him let him finish cooking it first, and then we can go into what I would consider to be the better version. Which, yes, I also occasionally help with, but that's not the reason why I think it's better.
No, I agree. Yeah, she is OP. She is OP because it's all God. They
Well,
really
okay,
fucked up with the power.
let me maybe simplify things down a bit. The problem isn't necessarily that she's OP; it's that there's no equivalency in power scaling in 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 original Ruby, which was a huge part of what Brainstormer's iteration fixes because it actually pads out the mythology of Ruby, which someone should have done but didn't do. So he did.
Yeah, again, I'm not. I think we can all agree that Ruby, for all the flaws it has now, which are very evident, it was flawed. What about Osmond? I mean, to be fair, it does seem like his magic gets weaker with every incarnation. To, to be fair, Dragon Turtle. To be, and they do have a weird power scaling problem within Ruby. Though, granted, I've never been a big fan of power scaling, just because it always leads to such like, yeah, Osmond unable to do anything to her at all, even when he was at his peak.
Again, the issue, I know Brainstormer doesn't like to consider it power scaling, but the issue very much is a combination of lack of underpinning mythology and power scaling, which if you're going to have a consistent universe, you need both of those. You need an underpinning mythology and you need power scaling.
All right.
Because otherwise characters wind up coming off as OP as shit with no relevant
I mean,
explanation.
to be fair, the villains are always supposed to be usually like, especially because Ruby is inspired by fairy tales. The villains always seem like unstoppable motherfuckers. Let's be fully honest on that.
Mm-hmm.
And
But it's the difference between seeming unstoppable and actually being unstoppable. That's the issue. You can
yeah,
seem as
again, that's
unstoppable
completely
as you
fair.
like, but
God,
there has to
okay,
be an
no,
actual logic behind it that makes it make sense.
I mean, they kind of have something set up, but they haven't done anything in it or nor expanded upon it with Ruby's silver eyes. Salem is part Grim, and the silver eyes are supposed to either turn Grim to stone or eradicate them, which I have expanded upon. That was one of the first things I rewrote because that was a big first season that idea was introduced. Silver eyes did nothing with it.
And by the way, the reason I am now smirking
actually,
like a motherfucker is because that is 99.9% of the problem. Brainstormer literally will tell me about a thing in Ruby lore, and then I will ask what does it mean or how does it relate to anything, and the phrase "they never do anything with it" will inevitably be the result.
Okay, that's I would make Salem able to be stopped by power draining and from her own family blood magic that the reincarnations can deal with her along with silver eyes or silver bullets. I mean, yeah, silver has always been kind of a deterrent against magical energy, just in folklore in general, right, Don?
I mean, yes, iron probably would have made slightly more sense, but okay, fine.
Well, we're silver eyes, silver bullets, we're just going with that. I thought it was supposed to be some sort of slower. Okay, motherfucker, I'm sorry, Giant. I don't mean sorry. Sorry.
This is what happens every time this topic comes up.
Okay, it's just
by
because.
the way.
Look, okay, but isn't iron for fae, silver for demons, and shifters, and gold for angels? Is that a thing?
Iron is almost for everything. Silver and gold don't tend to do shit. As far as angels, you'll sometimes see that angels are vulnerable to platinum, but that's rather rare and niche.
Okay, so, okay, fuck, we are going so off topic, but it's also on topic. Damn it. Okay, well, no, okay.
This is what he's like when Ruby comes up, folks. This happens every time.
Dude, it was popcorn. Okay. Establishing here, Ruby was one of the first things that really got me into a creative, outlet as a writer or a storyteller. Like, without Ruby, I legitimately don't think I would be as invested in writing or telling stories. Because that was one of the first things I ever saw that really made me want to write a story or tell a story. Get ideas out there. But yeah, Jonah Arts, that is actually an idea I also came up with, but not in evolution. You know what? I'm okay with revealing this idea that I came up with for magic and semblances, because okay, so magic was the first thing created, right? And when the first incarnation of humanity that the brother gods created, when they were disintegrated, I guess, and out of what arose from those ashes were the second iteration of humanity, right? I'm of the impression, this was just my logical thinking of it, that semblances and aura were just the remnants of that magic. While not true magic, in terms of Ruby, they are the remnants of it.
The leftover spark, basically.
Thank you, leftover spark, because that makes the most sense, I think.
Mechanically, yeah.
Mechanically, thank you, and just explains why they would have this power, even though magic, in air quotes, well, no, not air quotes, but full-blown magic is thought to be myth or a fairy tale. Well, I mean, I would understand that energy, that mana, which Dragon Turtle's asking, aura is tied to the soul. I understand dust and magic, but how are semblances so, but not the human soul itself? Well, the soul is energy, which, mana powers magic and stuff. So, and mana usually is basically like nature or soul stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Energy of the soul. So, to be fair, don't Dragon Troll. I am kind of playing the ball where it lies in terms of rewriting this. I'm trying to be logical and still be respectful towards the original stuff while just adding to it.
Basically, what he does is fills in the holes that are in the mythos. That's why the phrase "this was kind of established, but it was never done anything with" is the thing that always comes out of his mouth when Ruby is concerned. And I just have to sit there and basically poke him until he comes up with a way to tie things together. This is what happens.
And there are a lot of holes in Ruby's lore, which I think the fans of Ruby here can attest to. And it is driving me fucking insane because I have barely scratched the surface of rewriting it. Okay. Oh, how do you distinguish the different use of magic and semblances? Okay. Well, semblances and auras basically work similar to muscle reflex, like in the show, or a conscious choice to use. I have added that in order to use magic, like true magic, for one thing, there are glyphs, which obviously there's a tie there to Weiss, but you also have to speak a certain language, like the old language of the first incarnation of humanity. Um, yeah, okay, way of physically showing them. Yeah, glyphs, like glyphs basically, or no, yeah, basically that. Yeah, just again glyphs or because the way they depicted magic in the show, I always found kind of lazy or lackadaisical, because it's just you're blowing colorful rainbow energy. That's it. There's no finesse, no
Gil.
yeah. And since I am a friend with a wizard, I feel like being respectful of a magic
Yeah,
system.
and you can guess where my contributions to this whole process came in quite significantly.
Yeah.
I.e., it's a skill, motherfuckers. But that's anyway. We have tarried so long in this one topic, so we should move to the other things.
Uh, I guess just semblances in the show. Uh, I wrote some. We can talk later about this, Jonah. Maybe like in Discord. I knew I wrote something. Wrote what made the difference between the two. Between magic and semblances. I would just have to find it and send it to you.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, yeah, let's move along to the next thing.
Yeah.
So that we can make something resembling good time here.
Rooster Teeth celebrated its 20th birthday last year with the launch of new logos and a new tagline, "Just Playing." The company had cultivated an ardent fan base and became an internet video destination years before the advent of YouTube. Its first viral video came from the 2003 debut of Red vs. Blue, an animated comedy series that popularized machinima. The company's name was derived from dialogue in the original trailer for Red vs. Blue, in which the voiceover narrator is dissed by the subtitler as a cockbite.
Didn't realize that was the origin of the name.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. To be fair, I got into Red versus Blue pretty late, like season 8, when Monty kind of came in and started doing the fighting animations. This was years before Ruby became a thing. Are you, Giant Turtle? Are you talking about? Are you talking about Ruby or Red versus Blue? Oh wait, never mind. I just saw Giant Turtle. Okay, yeah, Giant Turtle. Yeah, never mind. Never mind. It's fine. It's fine. Uh, then yeah, after I saw season 8, I binged the whole show like on their website. Um, so that is how I got into Rooster Teeth, and I stayed obviously because of Red vs. Blue and Ruby, and those were kind of big influences on my life in terms of like how I kind of became who I am right now. Uh, is there anything else? Okay, well, I guess we can move on now. Rooster Teeth was founded in 2003 by Bernie Burns, Matt Hullum, Jeff Ransby, Jason Saldana, Gus Cirola, and Joel Heyman. After multiple ownership changes, it became part of Warner Bros. Discovery 2 years ago. Dude, Freelancer Saga was like some of the best, and I'm not discrediting anything else. It's just like that was kind of the gateway for me to what for the for Red versus Blue.
Mm.
Um, for Rooster Teeth, I guess was what I meant to say actually. So
Mhm.
um, Discovery 2 years in 2019, then owner Warner Media tapped Levin, former CEO of the WB, as general manager of Rooster Teeth as part of a reorg in which Hullum, previous RT's CEO, Burns, and Ramsey took on more creative roles in the company. Burns exited Rooster Teeth in 2020. Yeah. To be fair, sorry, it's the giant troll. To be fair, am more. I was watching the Chorus trilogy when it came out because I think at the time I'd seen like the first episode of season 8 where like Tex kicked the ass of the Blues and Reds, or the Reds and Blues, which was like full on Monty fight animation there, which was awesome. And I saw the Chorus trilogy when it was coming out. So I'm kind of more attached to the Chorus season because it feels like a true finale to the series with like the season 13 and the end of that. And God, I'm not going to lie. That ending of that, of episode 20, I cry like a bitch almost every time, or I at least get misty eyed. I know I'm saying shit that you have no idea what is going on, Dalton.
It's fine. It's fine.
Um, yeah, a lot of the old guard of uh, Rooster Teeth did leave, and there was also like a lot of scandals that happened as well. There was a lot of things that started to happen. I think as Rooster Teeth kind of got bigger and bigger, obviously they kind of lost that. What's the word? Lost that independent feeling
Mm.
because they started out as an independent. Chorus
Ah,
Trilogy.
they sold out basically.
Uh, Giant Turtle, the Chorus Trilogy with the end of Church Epsilon. You know, uh, Felix, Locust, the Mercs, and there's a whole thing there. Yeah, yeah. All right. Um, In 2014, Rooster Teeth was bought by Fullscreen, which in turn was bought by Otter Media, a joint venture of AT&T and Churning Group, before Rooster Teeth became part of Warner Media under AT&T's ownership. In 2022, Discovery closed the acquisition Warner Media to form Warner Brothers Discovery. Rooster Teeth had operated a subscription video-on-demand service from its early days, and in 2016 rebranded the service as First. At its peak, Rooster Teeth First had about 225,000 paying members at the height of the popularity of Ruby and Genlock, but has fallen off to about 60,000 today. Huh. And yeah, it's actually I I didn't get into Genlock that much. I watched a few things here and there about it, but I'll be fully honest, it never interested me. Just because it did not look like it didn't do anything creative, to my knowledge. Anyone who has seen Genlock, please, if I'm wrong, please tell me to go fuck myself. It's just what I remember, because I think I watched the first episode, but I barely remember anything of that. Like, it didn't hook me. Um, Warner Brothers Discovery will be communicating with subscribers within the next few weeks about the service's shutdown. At one point, Rooster Teeth staff had ballooned to a headcount of more than 400. It continually winnowed its ranks over the years in attempts to turn the enterprise profitable to no avail. Rooster Teeth has operated at a loss for the past decade. In addition to its core content biz, Rooster Teeth sold merchandise and had run the RTX in-person fan convention starting in 2011. Levin recently announced that the 2024 RTX would be canceled and told staff that the event has never been profitable. That sucks. And from what I remember hearing of like other people who had talked about it, apparently they had really shitty merch. Yeah, nothing really. Again, nothing really creative or anything for the merch to be sold.
Well, they may have also not had the money to do anything particularly creative, which is sad.
They just put a PNG on a T-shirt. Like they didn't even blow up the image to fit the T-shirt.
That's lame.
Yeah. All I remember was that the mechs needed to be remotely controlled via Neuralink and its unique way of moving. Plot twist is that the MC was the actual antagonist. Yeah, that I remember. Funny enough, Jonah, I actually was somewhat inspired. I haven't worked on it in a while, but I've actually started working on something that is based. I tried to do a rewrite of Genlock a few years, like a year or so ago, but I couldn't really do anything. So I actually just kind of started making my own mecha story. I haven't worked on it lately just because I've been busy with so many other things.
Mm-hmm.
The MC. Yeah, I guess also the thing is like I'm not like the biggest mecha guy. I mean the most mecha stuff I've watched is Big O, Gurren Lagann. That's actually about it in terms of mecha. I might be missing a few things, but to be fair, I haven't watched anime in about a decade. Anyway, among the among the company's controversies, Rooster Teeth in 2022 issued an open statement of apology for hateful and hurtful conduct toward employees over the years, coming after a former staff member detailed her experiences of being harassed, underpaid, and marginalized at the company. I had heard about it, but I never looked into it. Mainly because I think at that point I did kind of just fall off in terms of favor for Rooster Teeth.
I'm always skeptical whenever the word harassment pops up, so you'll have to forgive me for once more being skeptical. As a veteran of the Gamergate days, the word harassment basically makes all my capacity for empathy switch off a lot of the time, unless there's actual evidence behind it. So
I think well, I don't know. Well, I'm willing to believe the harsh work hours and basically sweatshop treatment of like the animators and stuff for RWBY, and the
the payment stuff makes more sense to me. I'm gonna have to see more evidence though of harassment before I'm willing to, because the word harassment is such a thought terminating cliche for so many people, and I'm a veteran of the old school Gamergate days and the Comicsgate days and so on. So the word harassment is basically, oh look, someone is the word harassment basically triggers my innate sense of skepticism, because it's like, oh look, someone couldn't find any actual substantive reasons to complain, so they jumped to harassment. Isn't that interesting?
right.
That's usually the way harassment is used in this manner, unless there's actual evidence. In which case you should always lead with the evidence.
Mhm.
Dear victims of actual harassment, never just claim harassment. Always and never never nebulously defer to the concept of harassment. Always focus on what is documentable and provable. Please, it's better for everyone that way. Claim nothing that you cannot prove directly, because otherwise you will be taken for a moralistic shyster. Unfortunately,
Right.
because so many people have used the term harassment as a I am unassailable from this point forward button, and it got old really quick. Ask Anita Sarkeesian and
Um,
Zoe Quinn and Brianna Wu and, well, all the rest of them. Anyway, moving on.
all right. Okay, so this is the memo that was sent out for the company shutdown. Dear Rooster Teeth, since our founders created and uploaded their first video on the then called World Wide Web in 2003, Rooster Teeth has been a source of creativity, laughter, and lasting innovation in the wildly volatile media industry. I don't really have anything to say to that.
This seems like very histrionic framing, and therefore it makes me skeptical.
Well, no,
Wait,
this
wait,
is no. This is the memo up to the staff about the company shutdown. This is just that has nothing to do with what was said earlier. Though there was a scandal of some personality, like the personalities of Rooster Teeth, like certain groups of cheating on their significant others with fans. That was actual thing. That was an actual thing. I know that. I didn't look into it because again, it's not really kind of my business to look into that. Which that feels more like a personal thing than something of the company itself, to be fair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Either way, we've read the
Moving
headlines
forward.
about industry-wide. We've read the headlines about industry-wide layoffs and closures, and you've heard me give my perspective and updates on the rapidly changing state of media and entertainment during each of our monthly all-hands meetings. Okay, so here's the weird thing. Sorry, I don't mean to pause in that.
Go
But
ahead.
how do I say this? Rooster Teeth was when it was at its legit peak, like in the early 2010s. It was in the kind of center where like it could do big things while also having like because it had a genuine like employees that became like superstars or not superstars but big personalities within Rooster Teeth were fans that got hired by the company. Like they had a legit um they were like a good bridge between like the mainstream shit, like the mainstream industry and the fan places, you know?
Hmm.
Never utilized it, unfortunately, or if they did, they kind of fucked it up.
And once more, if I had a penny for every time that phrase came up in the conversation, I would be a very rich man by now.
Um, but to say that, hold on. Well, at one point, yes, Rooster Teeth was a source of creativity, laughter, and lasting innovation because they really because they were the first Machinima series with Red versus Blue, or one of the first. One of the and Red versus Blue was the longest lasting web series out there, 2003 to this year, I believe, will be their last season restoration. Um, which I do think they are planning on. They are still going to release even with the shutdown of the show or of the company.
Hmm.
But that's kind of stopped. Rooster Teeth stopped being that when they started to be more focused on being this more, I guess, corporate entity and not really not. I won't say do it for the fans because that has a lot of implications. Because they kind of did do things for the wrong type of fans with like the shipping community, which kind of overtook RWBY.
The tumble rights.
I honestly would say I don't know if there is a worse version. There's something worse than Tumblr rights.
Um, what is worse on the hierarchy than Tumblr? That is a good question. Because you've got 4chan at one end, and then you've got Tumblr usually at the other. Is there a level beyond Tumblr in that direction? I don't know if there is.
AO3.
Mm,
Anyway, the company and all hands had 2 years notice since for wrapping up stuff. Huh. You have not been on Animo. They are just as bad as Tumblr. Oh,
Oh
okay.
yes, I have. I know what Amino is.
Tumblrites and Redditors. I'm on Reddit. Well, to be fair, I don't really.
Yeah, Reddit is a step below 4chan in terms of that particular vector of extremism. That's why I phrased it as 4chan is on one end, Tumblr is on the other.
Okay. Um.
If
So
if the if the I mean potentially you could go to like 8chan or 16chan if you wanted a more extreme version of 4chan, but what is the more extremified version of Tumblr?
uh. Anyway, yeah, like RWBY specifically for Rooster Teeth was kind of like the shipping community really, really like overtook a lot of things. Okay. Giant turtle companies tend to start out edgy, freedom loving, etc., then grow more PC, conservative, etc. as they get bigger, like someone who's punk in their early 20s as a cashier and then a pearl clutching boomer in their 60s as a general manager. That's
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah, that
how
yeah.
how far the mighty do fall. because some people are more addicted to the signifiers and trappings of an identity than they are the ethos behind it. But some of
Um,
us have principles, God damn it. There are people like us in the middle who genuinely don't want anyone's particular morality enforced on culture.
right,
There are those of us principled in the middle, God damn it.
right. We've read continuing reading this article, we've read the headlines about industry-wide layoffs and closures, and you've heard me give my perspective and updates on the rapid. All right, I already read that. Since inheriting ownership and control of Rooster Teeth from AT&T following its acquisition of Time Warner, Warner Brothers Discovery continued. Warner Brothers Discovery continued its investment in our company, content, and community. Now, however, it's with a heavy heart that I announce that Rooster Teeth is shutting down due to challenges facing digital media resulting from fundamental shifts in consumer behavior and monetization across platforms, advertising, and patronage. To be fair, that does kind of seem like they shot. Again, I don't want to be hostile towards this because a lot of contributing factors kind of led to this.
Mm-hmm.
But it certainly didn't help that they did attack a certain. They and their subsequent the fans or the rabid, toxic people that call themselves fans. Kind of alienated a lot of people by doing a lot of stupid things in these IPs that they own.
And
'Cause
just like that, we have a IP collapse bingo, ladies and gentlemen.
What were they?
The person that originally held things together died and or was forced out. The IP is not taken advantage of, and or the IP is leveraged against the fan base. The IP sells itself out, and the allegedly fan base morally grandstands and or does stupid things to alienate the prime fan base in the name of diversification and or inclusion by their definition.
I wouldn't necessarily say that. It's just they insisted so much that they had all of Monty's notes and had it under control. Yeah, that was. Yeah, that they might have. Again, it's a whole complicated thing because I'm not gonna pretend I know what was going on with the behind the scenes stuff because again, I'm only close in my mid-20s now, and I was 13 when when Rube came out. So, and they had said that they had 10 ideas for 10 volumes. Yeah, they had ideas for 10 volumes, so I'm willing to accept they had it, but I don't know if they actually did anything with it.
And how the question, of course, is also how thorough exactly were these notes? Were they just loose ideas scratched onto napkins somewhere, or did he actually have some kind of serious Bible that they decided to ignore bits of?
So that is a good question.
Because that's the thing. Whenever you're basing a concluded work after its primary creative has died, and you're basing it off of the notes they left, you better hope they kept fairly thorough notes. Otherwise, you're going to be flying by the seat of your pants, which seems to be what happened here. It seems to be that he might have left some scratched ideas onto a metaphorical napkin somewhere, and they tried to fill in the gaps the way they wanted to rather than the way he would have wanted to.
And not to Ruby Ice Queendom, which was an anime that they actually had gotten, I believe, 2 years ago or a year ago. Don't quote me on that. Joan Arts mentioned it. It was a Dragon Troll. It was kind of, from what I understand, because I didn't check it out, it was a retelling of Ruby Volume 1 with a different, with a twist to it, I think. I guess, yeah, sort of an AU.
Anyway, next.
Or, you know what? Actually, it could have been something that technically happened off screen, because a lot of that happened in Ruby. Yeah. Anyway, God, this is I did not think this art. Well, it. Okay, please note that the Roost team is not currently impacted by this action. The Roost Podcast Network will continue operating and fulfilling its obligations while WB evaluates outside interest in acquiring this growing asset. Meaning they're going to. Obviously, it just means they're going to sell the rights to the IPs to people. And there have been some people like there's this animator. From what Shane has said in his letter, they had a story Bible, but they mostly threw it out to fit the writer's visions over Monty's. I will take this with a grain of salt. Right, and Jonah, since I know you don't know this, Shane Newville was a guy who worked closely with Monty, like was kind of part of the founding team of Ruby, but I believe he was let go at some point.
So what you're telling me is they did in fact have a series Bible, but they decided not to use it.
I would say, like Jonah says, take that with a grain of salt, because they're, because from what I understand, the letter he wrote, which was like a document he had written about his him leaving Rooster Teeth. It had a lot of things in it. Again, I haven't checked it out because again, it's not.
I mean, maybe yes, take it with a grain of salt. But the trouble is, I can totally see that happening.
Yeah,
unfortunately, but I can see stuff like that happening because stuff like that does actually tend to happen when you have a mainline creative tie. Again, look at what happened to Men of Action after the passing of Dwayne McDuffie versus before, when Dwayne McDuffie was at the helm of it.
Sorry. Anyway, I didn't want to. God, this is a longer article than I thought it would be. I should have taken a look at it before. In the coming days and weeks, we will have many questions to answer and the opportunity to work together to implement the best way to wind things down for us in our community. And we're working through what comes next in real time, and we'll be as open, direct, and accessible as possible. Thank you all in advance for your patience and support of one another. Let's take a moment to celebrate a 21-year contribution to the zeitgeist, advancing creativity, and outlasting many of our peers from the early days of online video and digital-first content. Okay. And then there's another part here to a creative legacy. So, okay, you know what? We are going to stop here just because it's a longer article than I anticipated, and we do have other things to talk about. Though, final thoughts, you say, I am sad that Rooster Teeth is ending because it was kind of one of the staples of my childhood growing up, in a way. I agreed. Yeah, I'm in a similar boat to you, Joan Arts, and again, yeah, I agree. Generally, yeah, it's a rip. Though, the thing there are people out there that have been inspired by Rooster Teeth that I think have continued working. So for all of its faults, and it's obviously like kind of tainted end, Uh, I don't think we can deny that. Uh, yeah, we can definitely not deny that Rooster Teeth was something that helped create a interesting sphere of creativity that has kind of grown and expanded beyond what I think Rooster initially began as. Um, and again, as it's sad as it is to see it go, it was bound to happen at some point. I kind of wish it went out with a more grander and more well looked upon end.
Dignified exit.
Yeah, a more dignified exit. But for what it's worth, it was nice to have known it for the briefest time that I had known Rooster Teeth. Um, and at the very least, with the end of this, it actually kind of inspires me to finish both my Red versus Blue Zero rewrite, which has kind of expanded into something else, like its own kind of spin off series. And
Because it
I
always does.
shut up. And my obviously finished my Ruby world building rewrite series Bible. Granted, I'm not actually going to rewrite the actual series itself. I'm more or less just I'm rewriting the background, giving it more texture and weight. Like just
Filling in the holes that they left.
yeah. Um
Anywho, next topic.
though I will say this. I'm sorry. Just the weird thing is if there is someone who does get it and is like a fan because I think there is one person. I don't know if anyone's heard about this, but the Dylan Gu, who is like this really cool animator, like on YouTube, did a lot of really interesting animations. Who also worked on Ruby with Monty has expressed interest in buying Ruby and working on it, either to finish it or um, reboot it. Uncertain of either, but um, like the fan community of Ruby who has done like a lot of work and stuff and that stuff. I don't know. You'll have to look into that. I've barely looked into it myself, Dragon Turtle. Um, it all really depends. Though personally, I would say if you are going to reboot Ruby, I would say look at Arcane as a major inspiration for it because I feel like Arcane is what Ruby could have been if it was given both the time to develop and the money needed to make a 3D animated series like that. And if anyone is, I know you haven't seen Arcane either, Dalton, but
No, I haven't.
I honestly, legitimately do believe Arcane is what Ruby could have been if it was given like the necessary budget, the time, and just yeah. Okay, give me a second to set up the trailer. Sorry, I was the okay. If I were to get the IP, I would do the simple thing and keep it a little simple on it, like just copy and paste the size of the cosmos and focus on the story Bible and see what there was and redo it. Yeah, that seems fair. Okay, so first trailer of the night. Let me see. Share screen. Sorry, you didn't get to talk much. By the way, Don.
It's all right.
So this is the Fallout trailer for the Amazon series coming out in April, I believe.
Mm.
Okay, hold on. Let me just get the quality right. Um, um, so just
Nuka
kind of,
Cola.
well, yes, but also I was going to say, just as a prerequisite, yeah, is that the
Preface.
preface? I was going to ask if I used that word right, but I feel like I didn't.
Mm.
Um, uh, don't I have so as a preface, I myself have not really played the Fallout games. I have looked into lore of Fallout because I find it very interesting, and the aesthetic of Fallout is actually really cool looking to me. Um, so I have somewhat of a knowledge uh, for the show, I guess. Um, what about you, Don?
Most of my knowledge of lore, although it is somewhat extensive, comes from my friend Nick.
Okay.
Because, and he's the main reason we're doing this because when I was talking to him the other day, which again I think was Thursday or Friday, um, he was very much on the precipice of wondering how they were gonna massacre his boy, and in particular how if it was at all going to resemble what they did to the Halo franchise. So
I
yeah.
will certainly say because I've watched this trailer before I sent it in for recommendation. Um,
Mhm.
Based on the knowledge I have of Fallout, I think they're doing well because well, we'll get into it. I don't want to mention it just yet. We'll get into it.
Mhm.
Let me. Okay, so Nuka Cola.
Nuka Cola.
Hello there. I'm here to show you a wonderful place. A veritable Camelot, the nuclear age. Not made by God Almighty, but the working man.
I mean, it looks a lot more visually interesting than the Halo show.
This is true.
I have really opened a can of worms in the comments with Ruby.
Yep.
At least I'm not alone in being a Ruby fan around here, which I appreciate.
Uh-huh.
Because as much as Dalton entertains me in listening to my ranting about it, he doesn't get it because he never watched it. And I don't well, okay. I recommend that you watch the first 3 seasons at the very least.
Mm.
Granted, you will have to look at like YouTube videos because I don't think you can watch them officially anymore.
Mm.
Yeah, it's complicated. But yeah, it doesn't look bad, like visually. And it is it is selling that like Americana 1950s nuclear age aesthetic well.
Yeah, I'm just curious where and when in the timeline it's set, because I think everyone and their mother wishes that this was an adaptation of New Vegas, but who knows?
They certainly take elements from that. I mean, to be fair, the universe of Fallout is very vast. Like there are a lot of unexplored areas within like Fallout.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say. So let me get to
Nuka-Cola.
Nuka Cola. Or well, no, yeah, Nuka Cola. It's really the only like actual food that is a staple of it. So
Mm-hmm.
yep. All right, Nuka Cola.
Nuka-Cola.
You can be a hero by purchasing a residence in a Vault-Tec vault today. Because if the worst should happen tomorrow, the world is going to need you to build a better day after.
The mission of the vault
God damn it.
should be important to everyone.
Hmm?
Sorry, my mouse was getting weird. I was trying to pause it, but it wouldn't pause.
Hmm.
Again, it doesn't look bad. So I was gonna bring it up because the thing with like Fallout is kind of like a choose your own adventure game.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of makes it hard for a series.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where like you're supposed to have characters and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So so obviously just them focusing on one single story, I understand, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, again, they sell the apocalypse really well, or well,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is Fallout technically an apocalyptic thing?
Yes.
Well, it's
Well,
post-apocalyptic, but
post-apocalyptic.
yeah, it's post-apocalyptic, but it's weird thing is it's never really shown the desolation of it. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like it's never dour in its presentation,
Mm-hmm.
which I kind of respect because very few post-apocalyptic stories ever do
Well,
that.
because it's doing the retrofuturism thing, basically.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyhow, Nuka-Cola.
Yeah, I don't really think I have anything else to say, so let me get to the tab. Nuka Cola. Hello?
Yep. Nuka-Cola.
Okay.
The mission of the vaults should be important to everyone. To come up to the surface one day and restart civilization. Can you tell me what's happened in the last 200 years?
Okay, wait. So we're following Vault Dwellers then? Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, most stories do. Most Fallout games.
Okay. Anyway, Nuka-Cola.
You know what, Giant Turtle? I don't disagree with you there. Says I really hate the leftists for Pavlovi. Fuck. Pavlo. Fucking son of a. Pavlovonianly making me cringe whenever I see women or POCs in roles in entertainment in high positions. Because while it's partially sampling bias, it is someone woke so often.
It's become a yellow flag, not a red one, but definitely a yellow one.
I'm not really.
Don't get your hopes up,
I'm
basically.
not. Yeah, to be fair, I'm not really. To be fair, because usually it's the player character in the middle of these stories, and you can obviously choose between male or female, and it's a whole thing. Again, it's kind of the paradox with the.
The easiest solution would be just to do one of each, or hell, have it be kind of an anthology and follow like maybe 5 characters, each of which you have a different story in a different part of the world of Fallout.
Yeah,
where maybe eventually
so-
they would, maybe eventually their stories would cross over and they would end up meeting up.
Yeah. There's also like, God, I think it was like 10 years ago. There was like this fan web series set in Fallout that was actually pretty good. I can't remember what it was called. It was Fallout something. It's like it's on YouTube. I remember that. This actually kind of looks similar to it. But I mean, again, it doesn't look bad like visually, and story wise, it's fairly similar to a Fallout game. But I understand your position. I understand what you're saying, Giant Troll. I'm personally am not seeing that yet, but then again, I always have I've always been kind of dense when it comes to that, unless it's pointed out to me. So if there is, or it's overt, but I'm not seeing any overtness here yet. So
yeah, I don't see anything either necessarily yet, but we have the whole rest of the trailer to go through. So Nuka-Cola.
Although I do agree, Jonah Arts, that would actually be really fun. It would be fun, tongue in cheek, if they start with the create your character screen and we see them pick her design. That would actually be really cool.
Yeah, it would almost have like Hardcore Henry vibes almost, but yeah.
Oh, dude, Hardcore Henry. That is a movie that really should get more spotlight, I think.
Yeah, as far as video game movies go, I can't believe no one has borrowed Hardcore Henry's POV aesthetic.
I mean, I will admit, watching that, like, I watched that in theaters when it came out. I got some, I wouldn't say vertigo, but I got a headache at some points in the movie, so it's sparingly.
Yeah, that's fair. It's just as far as video game adaptations go, that would be a very interesting way to do a video game movie adaptation, and they kind of almost. Yeah. Anyway, Nuka-Cola.
Again, Drantral, I get it, and I do think it is bullshit that mainstream Hollywood and AAA stuff has women main character, the woke thing. Again, I get that, and I hope it isn't justified myself, which I hope you.
Like I say, it's a yellow flag. We haven't seen a red one yet.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Nuka-Cola.
Yeah, let me get to the. There we go. All right, Nuka-Cola.
You're an actual vault dweller.
I am. I thought all you dipshits were dead.
What you're doing is insane.
There we go.
It isn't like the vault out there. It's big.
I love this song, and I love that New Vegas popularized it.
The thing about Fallout is it's always used like really old music. Well, not really old, but like the old time,
Because
like Americana,
because
1950s.
retro futurists thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Jordan. Again, I love how like this looks. Like just visually, it's leagues apart from other things.
I'm so far cautiously optimistic. I hope it's actually decent for the sake of my friend.
Mhm.
And also because we really we need to not only boycott Hollywood when it uses IPs incorrectly, but we also need to encourage them when they use IPs correctly. So there's that.
Dragon Turtle, I've heard the term atomic punk, like steampunk, but that 50s-ish era futurism.
I mean, yeah, I guess that could work. Although I don't think it's quite so very most atomic punk I can't imagine is quite as post-apocalyptic-y as this. Unless nuke exploding is a feature of it that I'm not aware of. Anyway, but Nuka-Cola.
All right, yep, there we go. Nuka-Cola.
I just want to start.
I've had a rough week. Practically every person I've met up here has tried to kill me.
I'm simply going to harvest your organs.
You need to go home. You come from a world of rules.
The humor is funny. I will give it that.
Oh shit! I'll be right back.
I appreciate the dark humor. The dark humor is funny. I wish somebody had given this kind of aesthetic to the Stand adaptation from 2020, which they didn't, and that's one of the many reasons why it was shit. Everything was way too clean, and everyone was way too pretty in the modern Stand adaptation. The 90s Stand adaptation was good, but the 2021 where they actually had a real world pandemic to play off of, but they fucked it up. They didn't bother doing this kind of aesthetic, and if they had, it would have solved maybe 30% of the problem with the 2020 Stand adaptation. Because it's in a post-apocalyptic world set mostly in the Midwest, it is going to look dirty and shitty because when the world collapses, shit happens.
Well, it did say, like, one of the signs I saw said Hollywood Boulevard, so it does seem to be in California. And the Los Angeles, which also would technically place it within the new California Republic.
What about Birdemic? I'm not sure where Birdemic came in. Jonah. I have seen Birdemic, but I don't know what I said made you think of it.
Wait, okay, so if this is set in California, if that might actually mean that they're actually like taking some inspiration from New Vegas,
which would be smart of them to do, although the inevitable question then becomes, why in the name of all the fucks didn't you just set it in New Vegas, which is by far and away the most well-rounded and well-liked setting in the Fallout universe, as far as I know.
Well, I think there's also a rights thing because it wasn't Bethesda that made that game. It was like another company that made that. Obsidian Entertainment, I believe. There's like a rights thing, I think.
Yes. But yeah, I did in fact point out that everyone in the 2020 Stand adaptation was way too fucking clean, and that I wish they had tried something more akin to this aesthetic. Even Flag was too clean, which I.
Oh,
Ugh.
Hey, Dragon Turtle, I actually did start reading the Parahumans series. I haven't gotten far in it, but I've started it. I have it like saved on my phone to read at times.
Aha. So now the next hurdle is going to be to get him addicted to Dresden Files, Dragon Turtle.
Oh, Dragon Turtle. Like I said, I haven't really had time to read it because I've been busy with like so many other things. I read like maybe a couple paragraphs of the first chapter. I'll let you know when I finish, like when I actually really get into reading it. Yeah,
And
okay.
then we will get him into Dresden, and then all will be right with the world.
I have had a very busy life. Okay.
I know,
All right.
but Dragon Turtle and I have to do the "we accept you one of us" thing at some
Okay.
point. So
The original two games were on the West Coast, more California than Nevada. Yeah. Okay, that's so they could be also taking place in that the original one, which was like a turn-based game, right? Like the original Fallout, which came out in the early 2000s, I think,
mhm,
which actually would make sense, I think.
mhm.
Which also makes me think, um, like there are two things I am curious if they'll have, which is that ghoul that has a tree growing out of his head, and the second one is the mysterious stranger, who is like this guy wearing like basically he looks like Dick Tracy from what I remember, and he just appears out of nowhere, saves you, like if you're in a fight, saves you by shooting the bad guys, and then disappearing.
Mm.
Like those two things were staples in like the original, in like some of the original Fallout stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, the original was more like Project Zomboid than Fallout of today.
Mm.
As says Jonah.
Interesting. Anyway, Nuka-Cola.
Yeah, give me one sec. All right. Nuka-Cola.
Laws. You should not be alone.
Why did you join the Brotherhood?
To hurt the people who hurt me?
People are going to come after you.
Ah, the Brotherhood. I am familiar with them. Although they're not quite as memeable as the Institute, and I hope the Institute makes an appearance.
The Institute
Because
is
they are-
in the Institute's East Coast, because Fallout 4 was set in Boston.
Ah.
Yeah. Again, everything looks really good here. Like the CGI and everything, like the sets are practical and look good, like well made and stuff. And the CGI looks like there's a lot of effort put in to make it look at least somewhat realistic.
Mm.
And like
Again, if they're smart, they should do a broadcast of characters so that we can see different parts of the country through different characters' eyes. I don't know if they're going to do that, but that's what I would do if tasked with adapting Fallout. Narrow it down to like the top 5 or 6 unique environments, and then have a character experiencing one of each of those.
Isn't the Brotherhood of Steel basically like a group of fascists, Dragon Turtle? Like, to my limited understanding of the Brotherhood of Steel. I mean, to be fair, we are getting a wide cast of characters in this. Granted, they're obviously contained within, like, I want to say California or something.
That, I suppose, is the question. Where the fuck are we relative to the universe? And how good is the writing going to be? Because the
Because-
aesthetics seem to be holding up just fine. So the only remaining hurdle is the writing and/or the likability of the characters. So
I mean, they
we
got a
shall
good
see.
cast. They got a good cast. Like, all the actors I've seen either look like actors I've seen in other stuff, which are really good actors. The Brotherhood of Steel is a group of assholes who want to bring back America, but in the most over-the-top Starship Trooper way possible. 200 years after the atomic bombs.
And the Institute is basically, well, mad science utopian Hitler, more or less.
Again, to be fair, there are rarely any, like, legit good guys in Fallout in terms of factions.
No, it's a post-apocalyptic setting. There are rarely any purely good or purely bad factions in setting.
I mean,
Although the
granted,
Institutes, I believe, are the faction that have the cure for mutants. They just aren't going to give it because reasons. So
anyway,
that does.
Anyway,
That's the other question I would ask is how well and or often are we gonna be seeing mutants? Because
you mean like super mutants?
yeah, I expect they will be significantly harder to do because budget. But by the same token, if you're in Fallout and you have no super mutants running all over the place destroying shit, then you fail.
This again, the whole lore of Fallout is, like, really deep, and we could spend hours talking about it.
We could, but we don't have hours, so
yeah.
Nuka-Cola.
All right, Nuka-Cola. Come on, you piece of shit. Work. All right, there we go.
Ain't much stage cleanup here, Volty. Well, now that is a very small drop in a very, very large bucket of drugs. Look out.
I kind of wish they gave the ghoul a little more of a paler skin than just fleshy skin, but I mean, it's still creepy looking, and he doesn't have a nose, which most ghouls don't. So respect to that. And it's Walter Goggins playing the guy, so. And for those who don't know Walter Goggins, obviously he's an actor who's been in a lot of things. He was in Hateful Eight. He was the sheriff of Rock Ridge. He was in Justified. He played Boyd Crowder, like the antagonist of that show. Fantastic actor. He's an actor. He's mostly played in, like, small stuff or in not minor roles, but in roles that are not usually main characters. Great versatile actor. A lot of actors, I think, that can play really cool characters and stuff. Just never get the chance to. Often. He's on that list of those kinds of actors. Again, visually, it looks good. Storytelling wise, I'm still somewhat. I'm not confused, but I'm wondering what the story here is. I mean, it seems simple enough. Like, a vault dweller leaves to try and see the world and stuff. It's pretty standard in terms of a story, but it's
Well, that's the big question. Everything seems to cut the mustard as far as the aesthetics go. Unfortunately, though, that doesn't mean shit in the modern day. The question is, how are the characters and or the writing? Because you could, in theory, fuck this up if the characters and writing aren't good enough. But so far, I don't see anything massively objectionable.
You know,
Then again, I'm also getting most of my information about Fallout secondhand, so there might be some faux pas that I'm missing that Nick
Mhm.
would notice if he were here.
Anyway, shall we?
Nuka-Cola.
Nuka-Cola.
Out of this wasteland, looks like chaos. But there's always somebody behind the wheel.
The end of the world is not what it used to be. It's interesting.
I mean, that's a interesting phrasing. I'm not sure what exactly that's supposed to mean, but okay.
I mean, to be fair, again, it's like what I brought up earlier with like, there's kind of a charm with Fallout in terms of the post-apocalyptic story.
Yeah,
While others more
it's a very like dryly humorous and self-aware setting, so I'm sure it could work that way. It's just,
I hope we can pay with bottle caps to get into the movie.
it's a show.
No, it's joke because in Fallout, a form of currency are the bottle caps of Nuka-Cola bottles.
Yes, I know the premise of the joke, but it's a show, not a movie.
Okay. Anyway,
Nuka-Cola.
Nuka-Cola.
What is happening here?
Everyone wants to save the world. They just disagree on how.
Yeah, actually, that's I can't argue with that phrase. Everyone wants to save the world. They just have different ways to do it or want to do it. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but
I mean, small print. No one's way is ever actually likely to work, and or not likely to work without distorting humanity beyond all reckoning. But any port in a storm, I suppose.
anything, or I got nothing else to really say, so shall we?
Yeah, Nuka-Cola.
All right, 17 seconds left, so
There you are, you little killer.
April 11th. We might actually, because I do have Amazon, we might actually review this show.
Yeah, why not?
Though it would probably take us some time, so we might not review it right away, obviously, because we don't really like to be part of the whole.
It takes time to watch things, guys.
Yeah. And
Anyway,
I'll be honest, I'm trying not to do the whole thing where like I binge a whole show in one night. I did that once and I kind of regret it.
I kind of did that with the Avatar adaptation. Anyway, last thing.
Dragon Turtle. I would not own
Or do you-
I would not. Hold on, that's what I want to address. What Dragon Turtle said. I would not own the Amazon rainforest. I would, however, like to be the proud companion of an Amazon warrior.
Yes, we all know you have Death by Snooze fantasies.
Shut the fuck up.
Am I wrong? Was a single thing that I just said wrong?
No, but still, shut the fuck up. And like you don't.
I mean, not with a woman, but sure. The male equivalent of Death by Snooze, probably. Anyway, last thing of the night, then.
Yeah, give me 1 sec.
Yep. Okay, now I'm just imagining like Giganta from Wonder Woman, except she's in Princess Leia's bikini from Return of the Jedi. That's what that's what that made me think of Dragon Turtle.
Okay. Fuck you guys. Yeah, I've heard mixed things too on Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live action, Jonah. To be fair, we covered the trailers when they came out, and it did not look good.
As someone who has watched the whole thing, it never rose to the level of pissing me off, but several things annoyed me. But none of the things which annoyed me rose to the level of pissing me off. They were just annoying. The biggest issue was how they altered Azula's character.
All right.
Because she is no longer Daddy's little perfectionist sociopath. And surprisingly, they kind of made Ozai a good father, which confuses the fuck out of me.
Fuck you, Dragon Turtle. Okay, so I brought this up last week. The teaser trailer for If, which is a movie made by John Krasinski, with various people in it. Ryan Reynolds as well. Ryan Reynolds, Steve Carell, others I forgot to look up. This actually came out like 2 months ago. I think we were just busy with like a lot of other things, and this kind of flew under the radar for us. And for those who are wondering, IF stands for imaginary friend, and obviously I think we brought up imaginary last week, and we talked about that before. This is kind of like another one, which actually seems like a
If I had a nickel for all of the movies coming out in 2024 whose premise were imaginary friend related, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. And yes, that was a Phineas and Ferb reference, specifically a Dr. Doofenshmirtz reference.
Yeah, Jonah, it's IF stands for imaginary friend. This I will fully honest. This feels very like a Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends live action adaptation.
I kind of wish they would just do a straight up live action adaptation of Foster's Home.
Well, also, and I don't know if anyone remembers this movie, but if anyone remembers the Nickelodeon movie Hotel for Dogs, I also kind of get the tone from that.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Anyway, um,
Oh, and for the record, anyone who didn't know, John Krasinski, who is, I believe, the guy who played Jim in The Office.
also Reed Richards in Multiverse of Madness.
He also did the. He also played Jack Ryan in the Amazon's Jack Ryan, and obviously directed the Quiet Place movies. Um, but yeah, this was just a movie I did not see him making, but respect that he's actually branching out in terms of directing this kind of directing.
This also reminds me of a show that Sci-Fi did around the same time as they did The Magician. Anyone remember Happy?
Right? Yeah. It's actually based off a comic, right?
Yes.
It only got 2 seasons. Like Happy only got 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Or was it more?
I don't think there was more unless Netflix or somebody picked it up. Anyway, what imaginary fruit?
Right. All right.
All I can think of is the Easter eggs that Coco used to lay in.
Wait,
Monsters.
God. It might not be food or fruit related, but rip-off artist, anyone? Please tell me someone gets that reference.
I think so.
Okay, I have to explain it. Okay. Blue says it to someone when the imaginary friends of Foster's go to, I believe, the mall, and he's trying to steal something, and someone says no, he can't. Blue yells "rip-off artist" and kicks him in the shin and runs away. And that becomes kind of a, I wouldn't say running joke, but it does get brought up.
I think you've I think it's a bit too niche and abstract for the sake of a pause phrase. Cocoa eggs.
Well, Giantor brings up this cake because there was no cake. It was a lie.
That's a Portal reference, though. It's not very. It's not as though the cake was imaginary. The cake was false. It wasn't imagined. But for the sake of simplicity, I suggest cocoa eggs.
Wait, wasn't there? I could have sworn there was something.
Chocolate chip cookies, because the one episode where they all obsess over the chocolate chip cookie recipe.
Yeah. Why not just Coco? To be fair, she's not like. But I do agree that was a good show. By the way, Giant Troll. Yeah, it was a really good show.
But yes, cocoa eggs. The reason I say cocoa eggs and not just cocoa is because cocoa can also mean chocolate, which is not relevant.
Also,
so
cocoa eggs. Wait, wasn't it also confirmed that Coco wasn't an imaginary friend, like in the last movie they did?
Apparently, yeah, they discovered her. Although she could have easily been an imaginary friend. She could have easily been an imaginary friend of some undiscovered, like, village of natives, and they see this is the problem with the mechanics of the world of Foster's Home. How the fuck do you know what reality is if literally, like, you basically end up with like Tulpa or Aggregor or Servitor logic, where if you just construct a firm enough thought form, it pops into existence.
Wait,
how the fuck can you possibly distinguish between mythical animal and non-mythical animal in the world of Foster's Home? This is the question.
Wait. I also have a question. Can they die? Because presumably, imaginary friends have always existed in that universe, right? Therefore, the legends, the stories of gods and monsters pass throughout all generations of mankind. What
Yeah,
is technically an imaginary friend? So,
how the fuck can you distinguish between reality and fiction in that universe when fiction that is articulate enough or well thought out enough or three-dimensional enough just pops into existence? And
wait,
we've seen it happen because
wait, is
remember
God?
when
Would God be imaginary? Wait,
remember when Francis I believe that was the name of Max Brother. Remember when Francis creates Red? He's literally just thinking about it, and then Red pops into existence. So we've seen imaginary friends come into existence from little more than a vague idea, and then poof. So yeah, fiction is meaningless within the Foster's Home universe.
Also,
Utterly meaningless.
hold on. Also, I mean, to be fair, they actually have imaginary friends that were superheroes. Remember that one episode?
And apparently there are so many different versions of Santa Claus in that universe because every child has a different idea of what Santa should be like.
But also, okay, would the gods of mythology technically be imaginary friends of some kind?
Again, in the universe of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friend, any entity
Wait,
that
what?
would have
Okay, what about other realms? What about other realms too? Like, what? No.
Well, we know of at least one imaginary friend who can create his own pocket dimension because of the one in the toy chest.
Jesus Christ!
So
Wait,
yeah.
Wait, hold on. Oh my God, my head.
Fiction is meaningless in the Foster's Home universe, is what I'm saying.
That's actually sad.
It's a meaningless concept.
Wait, if fiction, but they did that joke with Mojo Jojo saying that the kid was inspired by a cartoon, so that would imply that there is fiction. But what?
Vicious cycle. It's ridiculous, and
how have I never thought of this? Oh my God!
I think I broke brainstorm with my wise assery. I'm sorry.
I'm. What the fuck?
I mean, unironically, Dragon Turtle, we know that teenagers have a tendency of creating extremely violent imaginary friends because extremosaurs exist. So literally every hypothetical monster, Godzilla, Kong, etc., they all should exist and should be extremosaurs.
Would there be religions? Would there'd have to be religions, obviously, but what the? Oh my God, this is gonna haunt me. I'm not gonna be sleeping tonight, motherfuckers.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think I have officially broken Brainstormer with but a single smart-ass comment.
No, okay, dude, the implications are so fucking grand.
Yeah, I know. It's
if the entirety of the Foster's universe is just some type of imaginary setting by some higher entity.
This is very much the point, because we know that there is an imaginary friend who can create his own universe because of the one movie with the like monster in the toy chest, and we know that a imaginary friend concept doesn't even necessarily have to be consciously focused on, because scribbles are the result of babies' imaginations, and there's fuck tons of those.
Okay, we're done. I'm not going down this rabbit hole.
Which, speaking of
trailer, we're doing the fucking trailer.
I know. I'm just. I expect to get the results of this on Thursday. This is gonna be Brainstormer's next world building concept because he can't help himself.
No, I'm locking this away. I'm not thinking.
You know you can't. You are physically incapable of not turning it into a thing, and you know it.
All right, but Coco's eggs or is it cookies?
Cocoa egg. Cocoa eggs.
Cocoa eggs. Fucking hell.
Hi.
Well, looky. She is the perfect fit. I promise. Did she even see you?
What if everything you believed as a kid was real?
The world would be incredibly fucked up. And also, I want to point this out. You know all those universes like Animaniacs or Roger Rabbit where cartoons can just pop into reality? In the Foster's Home universe, not only would that be possible, that would just basically be how that would be a law of physics essentially. So all of the Toon concepts, all of the Animaniacs, all of the Bugs Bunnies, they necessarily must have taken on imaginary friend form. Because again, it doesn't take conscious effort, because if it took conscious effort, there would be no scribbles. And it doesn't take youthful innocence of imagination either, otherwise there would be no extremosaurs.
Right.
But there are scribbles and there are extremosaurs, hence literally everything that is focused on as a concept that could be personified would exist.
Giant Turtle, I'd rather not think about that. But for everything we saw of the trailer so far with 20 seconds, I like it. It's whimsy. It's a lot of whimsy here.
Yeah, it's cute, as this concept should be.
Yeah. It's actually nice to get like a kids movie that doesn't seem like either super pretentious or dumbed down.
Yeah. Anyway, Cocoa egg.
Yeah, give me one sec. Get the tab. All right. Coco's egg. Cocoa eggs.
Yes.
Who's about to?
What are you doing? Don't do this. No. No.
Hi. Oh, God.
I like the designs. Like they're not like overly realistic, but also seem tangible, you know?
Yeah. Someone put in the effort to realize the concept, which just makes me want to see a live action Foster's Home adaptation. If this movie and Imaginary do well enough, I wonder if we will get a Foster's Home adaptation. It would be the natural next step in let's mine the concept of imagination for fun and profit.
God, wasn't there like a movie about dreams a few years back that had Jason Momoa in it?
There was.
I can't remember the name of it.
I don't remember what it's called. Yeah, I don't remember it either.
All right. Cocoa eggs.
Cocoa eggs.
This is just so exciting.
What is happening?
Well, that's a perfectly understandable question given
I'm an if. Get it? Imaginary friend? Our kids grew up.
So we need new ones.
You could save all of us.
All of who? And don't say ifs.
That's actually, yeah, no, again, this feels like okay, I don't. Either John Krasinski saw about Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. I mean, when he was either working on The Office or something, or his kids got into it, relatively recently. 'Cause he
Yeah,
has kids.
Lauren Faust should be suing somebody is what should be happening here. Because this basically is the Frankie stand-in, more or less. Or if we're going like prequel logic, this could easily be a younger Madame Foster.
Well, to be fair, I mean, Ron Reynolds' character seems to be the cynical one, or the one that's been through this ringer.
Mm.
But I mean, the imaginary friends seem more colorful than the actual world, which I kind of am fine
Which
with.
makes sense.
I'm fine with the world being desaturated here because it makes sense for the story.
To contrast with the like fantastical element, which is the imaginary
Although
friends.
I'm under the impression that the movie will get more colorful over time.
I imagine most of the color is going to be in the imaginary or fantastical elements.
Well, what I mean is like when the human characters start to feel more wonder and whimsy and the fun of the imaginary friends, the world will start to get more colorful and brighter and stuff.
Which if that occurs in universe, then we have another setting where fiction is basically a meaningless concept. If changing the mood can change the lighting of the universe, then yeah. We're probably right back to fiction is a meaningless concept in this universe.
All right. You know, it's weird. Supernatural touched on imaginary friends too.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, it was like one episode only. So
with the Antichrist kid.
No.
Because I know he created the Tooth Fairy from nowhere.
No. It was a later season, like post season 5. I don't remember which season, but it was a whole thing.
I don't remember that episode. I remember the episode with Jesse, the Antichrist kid who could warp reality, but I don't remember any other episodes that deal with imaginary friends.
Anyway, shall we?
Cocoa egg.
Cocoa eggs.
Let him say it, or I think his head may actually explode.
Thank you.
You ready for this? There's no telling who's behind that door today.
I'm here for it. Like, this just seems like a fun, heartfelt adventure.
Yeah,
which
there's a lot of whimsy here as well, which is desperately needed.
Dude, we so need these kind of movies again.
Mm-hmm.
Or just stories.
I mean, Wonka was also pretty good as far as its whimsy factor goes.
Okay, so I have HBO on my Amazon, so I'm gonna have to watch that at some point within the week or so.
Yes, you will.
Yeah. Put it on the list.
Yeah, but whimsy and color and abstraction are things that are desperately lacking in a lot of movies today.
Mm-hmm.
And they could be, and they could and should be added back in.
All right. Shall we?
Anyway, cocoa eggs, yes.
Cocoa eggs.
We have to help them.
Yes, we do.
Oh my god, is this going to be a musical?
I mean, in for a penny, in for a pound. Why the fuck not, I suppose.
I know you'll love that.
Yes, thank you. The obvious gay is obviously gay.
No, I know you like music. I know you like musicals. and nothing to do with you being gay.
Sure, it didn't.
It didn't.
I know. I am just busting your balls again.
All right. I mean, I like musicals too when they're done well. And I do have a niche in terms of musicals because I like Hell's Carnival, Repo, A Genetic Opera. Recently got into Journey to Bethlehem. So it really depends, you know.
I'm looking forward to the Wicked adaptation finally, because finally someone decided to try and do Wicked. I don't know why it took this long, but it did, apparently. That would be Cocoa Egg.
I'm checking the comments here. Okay. Yeah, so Cocoa Egg. Cocoa Eggs.
Cocoa Eggs.
Yep.
I'm not gonna ask you again. Put some pants on. You're freaking everyone out.
Starting to see why I live alone.
Gee! What kind of a kid creates an invisible if?
Huh.
That also raises several questions. If the character in question is supposed to be invisible, like in the parameters of the character's creation, does that actually translate? In which case, there would be so many, like, invisible imaginary friends in mime boxes.
Oh. Yeah, dude, this just again, you know, when I said hotel for dogs, obviously, like, it's a hotel where the imaginary friends are staying, or
Yeah.
it seems like a hotel at least.
Yeah, I got where you're coming from with that, and it makes sense.
Yeah, but also just the earnest, like, heartfelt, and just genuine fun.
It does, Jonah. It does. That's why I'm like, if Lauren Faust did not give her okay for this movie, then she has every right to go ahead and sue somebody. Because I mean, the purple one even kind of vaguely looks like Eduardo.
I was gonna say like a mix of Eduardo and Wilt.
I mean, yeah, a little bit. Although he'd be a lot taller if he was Wilt.
Well, like I was talking about, like the kind of fuzziness and okay, no, that would be more Eduardo. Never mind.
Mm-hmm.
Also, again, the CGI, man, it looks really good, which is weird because often a lot of CGI today does not look great.
Yeah. It which again, that effectively means that in the universe of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, how is there even science? Because how could you meaningfully make a distinction between something that a being that someone just imagined, or a dimension that someone just straight imagined out of thin air, and any part of reality? Like you would know if, for example, you were there when the imaginary friend was created to a degree, but as Brainstormer points out, there are many cases where an imaginary friend would be so ancient or so niche or so isolated from secular society that how could, for example, how could you tell that unicorns weren't just simply a thing? Because so many people have imagined unicorns long before the modern secularization of society and shit. So fiction is an utterly meaningless concept in the universe of Foster's Home, and probably also in this new one, unless they come up with a different explanation for how imaginary friends work in it.
All right. Shall we?
Yes.
Also,
Goku egg.
star-studded cast, by the way.
Yes.
All right.
And it looks like everybody is having fun in the movie, so that's good. Although, to be fair, Ryan Reynolds was the main focus, and Ryan Reynolds has fun, I think, in everything he's in. Except, of course, for X-Men Origins Wolverine, because one does not simply unmouth the mark with a mouth and ever get let off the hook by Ryan Reynolds.
Right. Anyway, shall we? Go ahead. Go eggs.
Cocoa eggs.
Don't look him in the eye.
Which one?
You know damn well which one.
Thanks for doing this. It really means a whole lot.
Someone imagined a flaming marshmallow as a friend that is constantly melting.
Yeah, I can kind of see that, honestly. Especially in a... That seems like an imaginary friend who would easily lend itself to a camping atmosphere.
Yeah.
That seems like the kind of thing that would have been created at camp. Which, by the way, speaking of camping, ghost stories. ... question mark.
God, it's gonna drive me fucking insane thinking about all the implications.
Which, and again, we know extremosaurs are a thing, so it's not like there has to be some violence cut off or anything. And Duchess is a pain in the freaking ass, no matter whether she's technically an extremosaurus or not. So,
all right. Okay. Also, that teddy bear, that looks good. Wow. Kind of makes me wonder if they had actual designs of the characters on set, so they can get the models, the lighting and stuff right. Actual practical things.
This is a very good question, Dragon Turtle, especially when you consider the aforementioned if mythology, therefore imagine, therefore existence, therefore gods, question mark.
I really don't want to think about this tonight, guys, because I actually need to get some sleep because I got shit to do tomorrow.
And see, this is why chaos magic is such a clusterfuck, because this is effectively at least some of the premise you're working with chaos magic. But in fairness to chaos magic, at least chaos magic has more rules than just you put whatever we define as an adequate amount of thought into something and poof, it exists.
Right. Anyway, it's 10 more or so seconds, so...
Cocoa eggs.
Cocoa eggs. Well, it doesn't give a date yet, just says 2024. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that, because I actually do want to see this.
Yeah. The only limit that I can think of is I don't think we get it established in the Foster's Home universe that more people believing in something make it more powerful. It is somewhat individuated.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the only limit on the powers of an imaginary friend in that universe, as far as we know. And that might just be a wasn't relevant to the story, therefore wasn't addressed thing. It might be that it does kind of operate by American God's rules, and more belief does equal more power for them or something. We just don't know.
All right. Okay. So, with that, folks, I want to say goodbye. Adios. Allah. Auf Wiedersehen. Sayonara. Peace. Cheers. And
Shalom, and I assume we will have an update as to Brainstormer's newest idea by Thursday. Fuck off.
see you, everyone.